Hi, I'm Vanessa Anderson.
And I'm Stephanie Cooley.
It's time to give ourselves a moment to be real, to express all of motherhood.
Mothering is beautiful. It's wonderful.
And you know what? It's fucked up too.
Come hang out with us. We're the real motherfuckers.
You got a zit, wrinkles, spots, hair in unwanted places?
Or do you just want to treat yourself?
We know a place that will hook you up.
For our listeners in North County, San Diego, Avo Aesthetics Med Spa gives customers the personalized touch to reach their beauty goals.
As owner Melissa Starica says, find the best version of yourself. Seriously, guys, customers get solid skincare treatment, but they also go to Avo Med Spa because they know they'll feel safe, have a good time, and get an authentic, personalized experience.
Go to avomedspa.com. That's avomedspa.com.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. I met today's guests about 8 years ago when I was desperate to make a friend. And we met at a really cool way to find friends through something called a meetup. It's like speed dating. And we met, I brought my husband over to this like speed dating thing, not telling him what it was about. And we met Caitlin and Brandon, and I was like, ooh, these are our people. Except there was one huge hiccup. When we were like hanging out, we were loving each other, and then we told each other where we both lived, and we were like, ugh, we live like 45 minutes away from each other. We don't know if this is going to work out. Because having a play date 45 minutes away is annoyingly too far.
It's a long distance relationship.
It is a long distance relationship. It's a commitment.
Never done one successfully.
No.
But we connected so well that over the course of 8 years, we've gotten to be really good friends. Such good friends that a lot of people think that we're swingers.
Yep.
Oh, we get that a lot.
I didn't know.
Maybe the group text afterwards, but like, I don't know why we keep getting that.
But they decided to, in 2019, make our play dates annoyingly further apart. And
It's a longer distance
It's a
relationship.
way longer commute now. So it takes about 13 hours to have a play date, 13-hour flight, because they moved to Spain in 2019. And I wanted Caitlin and Brandon to come on to tell us about what it's like to move to another country in which their kids don't speak the language. And
Nor did we.
Nor did
Nor
you.
do we.
And also,
we do not.
For people listening who want to travel with, which is more likely scenario for a lot of the listeners, is like, I want to travel the world with my kids, but I'm too fucking afraid to do it. I wanted them to come on to tell people about like some of like real tried and true tips of what not to do and what to do.
Yeah, and so it's not on here, but since some of y'all didn't read the questions, it's all good. We'll just start with this. It's not on here, but first I would like to say what sparked you to even leave the United States and how you prepared and made the decision to do that. And then the follow-up question is, any tips when you decided to do that for rookie families that are about to do this move, what you learned, your regrets, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll hand the mic over to you guys because you're the stars today.
Well, wait, hold on. I think I wanted to set this tone too of like how much these people travel too.
So that was before they moved. That was already in there.
Yeah, that was already in their blood. Can you tell us how many countries you've been to?
You said you counted today.
I counted today and I got to 62.
That's 8?
Maybe I missed one, but I got 62.
I've been stuck at 69 for a while. That's
and then
not moving off.
What about your kids?
The oldest has been to 30?
Yeah, about 30.
About 30.
Okay.
And she's 11. She just turned 11.
That's a lot.
But we've counted that. That one's a for sure. Yeah. It seems crazy because I would guess like 15. But then we actually sat and counted them out. I don't know, 30. She's been to 30.
Wow.
So, but it's easier in Europe. You just
You
you drive a couple hours that way and you get one.
Or that way.
You get on a boat there and you get one. It's really simple.
Awesome.
A lot harder in the U.S. So
what sparked this? I mean, what year was it, and where were you like, let's get out of here? What made
So
you guys do it?
first, going back a couple years after we met, we both liked to travel. We didn't travel as kids, but we met and we both loved to travel. And we took a 14-month trip around the world and visited 33 countries.
yeah, but we went to a trip to Thailand first, and like that's what
Right.
really like I knew I
When
could
we
be with
first
this
started
human being because
dating, and
she
then-
liked to travel.
Yeah, and then we left on an epic trip and decided we would either, end up together forever or never speak to each other again.
This is a running
Right.
joke that we have that's between Caitlin and Brandon as a couple and me and my husband as a couple is they are never apart, and I cannot fathom
The opposite of you guys, yes.
Yeah.
This is
And you never know where your
And
husband
I never
is.
know where my
I
husband is.
feel-
My husband doesn't know where I am.
then it's like on your birthday, right?
Yeah, he'll be like, always gone on her birthday. Like, it's like, she'll be like, oh yeah, Gabe's
Gabe's
fishing
fishing.
on my birthday. We're like, yeah, that's
No.
what he does for your birthday.
Oh my gosh. No, but you're right. I think it's true. Like, I feel what a good test to say, hey, if you think you're going to marry someone or whoever's going to pop the question, plan a trip first, like you said, and see if they're like, if they can handle the stresses and all the different, changes that happen on a trip and the lovely stuff as well. But if they can hang with you.
Yeah, if they can hang with you while you explosive shit.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
food poisoning. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, those drop toilets in like Africa,
Yeah.
like they're a good test of your love
I-
with someone as you hold their hand and gently stroke their hair while they have explosive diarrhea, and you're like, I love you, and
you're
you
still
make
sexy.
eye contact the
And
whole
you're
time.
still sexy to me, Oh my god, this is my abs hurt already. All right, keep going with the story.
Okay, so you would like to travel.
So we like to travel.
Love to travel. Live to travel.
And then we started our professional careers and were working and had kids and had already met you at this point and we're living our life. And I remember Brandon being in a funk and trying to figure out like what was missing, and we started having a lot of conversations, and he said, okay, we're 80 years old, we're looking back at our life, what is it that you're going to regret most? And immediately I said, not living abroad with our kids.
Mhm.
And he was like, well, then let's do it.
I love that.
And I think it comes back to because in college I studied abroad for a year in France, and I loved it, and I always thought I would go back. And then I went back to the US to finish my degree, and then needed to make money and get a job, and then it just 10 years went by, or more than that, 20 years, 15 years, I don't know, I can't keep it straight, but a long time went by. We started living life, but I knew I always wanted to go back, and so when he asked that question, it was like a no-brainer.
Okay, so that
I'll be
was
honest, I zoned out on your answer. I have no idea what she just said, but I agree with it.
from the time that you had the discussion until you moved. How long was that?
From the time we made the decision between the time we
made the decision in September,
and
we
moved
were here in
July 1st.
It was
So basically what happened too is we tried to sell our home and everything in it,
No, we did.
and just ended up selling our home and then giving away everything in it.
Yes.
It was insane. You think your stuff is worth a lot until people come and pick it up and they're like, yeah, I see this $200 stroller. I will give you $3 for it.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yep.
"Ugh." And then they walk away, and you're like, oh, please, the $3.
$3.
Grab 5 more things on your way out.
Yeah. It was insane. And we had, because in the United States, they give you like family members. Here's a stroller. We had 4 amazing strollers. And I remember one of the first things we did when we moved to Spain is we needed to get a stroller. And it was like heart wrenching because we just fucking gave away 4 strollers.
No, 7. We had 7 strollers.
We had 7 strollers. Yeah. Holy shit, that makes the story even crazier. We had 7 strollers because we collect strollers. And we got here in Spain, and they have this crazy secondary market where things don't really lose value. So we paid like $150 for this stroller that was like 15 years old and was a piece of shit.
Oh my God.
So you
And we just got rid of 7 amazing strollers, and we bought a piece of shit stroller. And then we packed all 3 of our kids on it, and I would take them to school each day. 3 kids in a 2-kid stroller. And we looked like, I don't know, can I say gypsy? We looked like the gypsy family. We looked like Roma going across the city. Yeah, it was people. We were turning heads. We were very unusual in Spain to have not only 3 kids but 3 gypsy kids on an old stroller that no one in their right mind should have paid more than €10 for.
So maybe you should ship your strollers, man. Ship your strollers. Go to that used store, sell it, get you a Mercedes-Benz stroller in exchange. Maybe that's the way it rolls.
This is crazy. We
moved with 18 bags, and we didn't think to bring a stroller.
We didn't think to bring a stroller. Well, what's crazy though is when we sold our home, we locked it up and drove to the airport. So that was it. We turned in our keys in the morning, closed the door, drove to the airport, got halfway to my mom's house, didn't really know what we packed, went through it all, weighed our bags, figured out, we can't take it. It was literally like 85 pounds, one of the bags, like way over the weight limit. And we just started dumping shit. Drove to the airport. This is actually a longer story than I recall because we had the whole bag situation with 16 bags to a city we had never been to before. So we're moving there, sight unseen. We had never been to Sevilla, Spain. We're just moving there with 16 bags, and we just dumped shit. I don't even know what we dumped.
We got our kids. We had 3 kids.
We had 3 kids, 16 bags.
No.
And then we get to the airport in Madrid, and someone takes one of our bags.
No.
So, and we had to get a connecting, we had to go to the train station after, but we didn't have one of our bags. And what's crazy is, like, I had this big gray Patagonia bag, and we stopped for her to go to the bathroom, came out, someone took our bag. We got 15 bags. And then the only bag left on the carriage is going around, and it's a big gray Patagonia bag, obviously the same as mine. Only this has the gentleman's name written in felt tip marker, giant, with his fucking phone number. And I'm sitting there with
being like,
2 things. A, he's an idiot. Because his name's plastered across it, and he still took mine. And B, oh my God, this is the only way I think I get, like, ours back. So I call him, like, he comes back an hour later. We make the swap. Now we're really late because we got to get the last train from Madrid to Sevilla. And we get there, and the train station in Madrid has none of those little trolleys,
luggage trolleys
for luggage. And so
we have our 3 kids, and we're leapfrogging the bags from like the sidewalk to inside to down elevators to inside to down by the train.
I take 3 kids and 3 bags and a kid, and I say, stay here. And then I go get 3 more bags and a kid, stay here, and then I can come with her to get the rest of them. And then we went to the wrong fucking level, and then went back to the right fucking level. And then we had like 2 minutes to get on the train, and we get there, and there's a line of people to get just on the platform that's half a football field in distance.
Good
and we're like, yeah, because it could work for European or American.
If it's 50.
Yeah. This will work to all international audiences. And we get there, and it's fucking insane. But someone takes pity on us and helps us get down to the platform. We're out the platform, and I'm looking. Here's like Coche car number 1, and I'm like, oh, we're the last car on the fucking train, so we gotta
we're
go
a full train
all the full
away.
train. And I said, Kate, just go take the kids. Like, just go. I'll make it. And then so I grabbed 11 bags, and I'm walking like this, like fucking the worst, like pain, like the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Which is, I mean, I didn't go through childbirth, but 3 times harder than childbirth, I'm guessing. Carrying these bags across the platform, and I'm looking at everyone like, ayúdame, which means help me in Spanish, and no one. Like, no. You get the finger wag in your face.
You got help.
But finally,
you locked eyes with someone.
Yeah, I locked eyes, and that human being, which was a beautiful human being, helped me, and we got on the last train to Sevilla. So that was
and then he helped us when we got into Sevilla.
Yeah,
he was very kind.
That was our launching off point. That's kind of how things work with us. So it works in the end, but it's an absolute shit show before then. And like we can plan as much as we think we can plan, and we travel a lot, and we fuck up so bad traveling. You think we're like first time travelers? We get out there and we're like making every mistake. If there's a mistake to be made, we've fucking done it. If there's a flight and it's like El country, you need a visa. I'll never fucking get the visa, and then we'll show up to the country and I'm like, what do you mean I need a visa? What do you mean I need a birth certificate for my kids? What do you mean? And
No, I think that's only lately, the last couple of years. I think you've gotten cocky, and
I'm just an idiot.
Made some stupid mistakes.
I just don't read things before people send them. Did you send me an email on the questions that would happen today? Yeah, I didn't read that shit. I'm sorry.
To clarify, your kids were pretty much kind of useless age when you guys moved, so they couldn't help.
Yeah, they're still useless age.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
They're absolutely.
How old were they when you moved?
They were 2, 4, and 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you guys even pick Sevilla? That's where you live now? How did you guys
Southern Spain.
Yes, so what made you pick that out of the whole world? What made you
Did you close your eyes, spin the globe?
No,
I threw darts in a map and it hit Djibouti, and I'm like, no. So Southern Spain it was.
No, initially Brandon thought for sure we'll go to France since it would be easy for me to pick French back up. But I thought that French was pretty useless as an American to learn because I had no one to speak it with once I had come back. So I thought absolutely not. If we're going somewhere, it's got to be Spanish speaking. And I wanted to live in Europe. And so that left Spain. And my husband is a baby with the cold. So I had to find somewhere warm. So I looked at the southern Spain and I looked at the coast. There are a couple cities along the coast and then Sevilla, which is inland. And we picked Sevilla because we were living in San Diego on the beach and thought we should do something different.
It's pretty similar.
We can, except it's a lot hotter in the summer.
It's the hottest big city in all of Europe. And I could go hotter. So I'm definitely a baby with the cold weather.
Okay, so I know the answer to this, but what kind of jobs do you have so that you could do this?
Yeah, like that's my thing. Like a budget. There's a family, just say what. So that question, along with what kind of budget should you have to actually live, a decent life there.
So those are 2 separate questions. The first one is obviously we work remotely. That was the key to being able to do this because we're paying California prices. We're living in California on the beach and it's expensive. So we were sort of like, why are we doing this? Because if we live in Europe, we can use our extra money to travel a lot more. So we also looked at cost of living when we were looking at where to live because that factored in a lot. The cost of living here is
like 40% of what it is back in California.
California, yeah.
A cup of coffee is like $1.50. Like we can get away with breakfast and coffee, like a full breakfast, like toast,
like
ham,
cheese, toast with orange juice and a coffee, and it's like $3.
Yeah, each. Yeah, so 6.
So if you eat like the locals do, and aren't looking for California type foods, if you eat how the locals do, it
could be dirt cheap. Well, I mean, Sevillanos, as they're called here, they live out on the streets. They're out in the bars. They're out in the restaurants. They truly live their life, and so things are priced accordingly.
I mean, beers, like small beers, they'll be served in small cups, but they're $1.20. So it's very inexpensive in terms of cost of living.
So, I mean, key is that we work remotely, and that was unusual for our professions.
And you both work remotely, which was a nice thing.
Yes.
Like pre-COVID worked remotely, which was
and had
wild.
For a long time. So it was not like a new phenomenon for us.
Yeah.
And then since we were over here when COVID happened, that sort of solidified that remote work was,
okay, let's talk about that. Because you moved there in 2019, and then how many months later did COVID hit?
Technically, the following March.
Yeah, even though I got COVID in probably November of 2019.
Yeah, we think we kind of did.
Other than that, or else I get the worst flu of my life.
Yeah.
I wanted to die.
Well, your experience with the pandemic, I think, is a lot different than what we experienced. Mm-hmm. You literally had to stay in your house. You could only leave during portions of the day.
Spain was very strict. They were on lockdown, so the kids were out of school from March through the end of the year. And the first 45 days
kids didn't leave our front door.
Couldn't leave the house.
And how many square feet apartment was your place? How big was your place?
How big? That one was about, I'd say 800 square feet, the living area, but it did have a terrace. So we were,
and the terrace was probably about 800 square feet too.
It was one of the larger terraces in Sevilla. So we were lucky that we had some outdoor space.
And so the kids had bikes and toys and things out on the terrace.
Right.
So they, when we used to recall it and say, remember when you couldn't go outside? They're like, what do you mean? We're outside every day.
They were fine. We were going crazy. I went to the roof to run, and I had to do figure eights because if I ran over the neighbor's roof, they would complain to me. So I just did little figure eights over my 800 square foot apartment roof. And I was going mad. I mean, as we're a lot of the world, but it was cute though. Spain would get every, at like 8 p.m. every night, they'd go out and clap on the terraces. Or what got to be really cool is we live on an insanely talented street, like insanely talented. Like the John Stewart of Spain lives like 3 doors down. Like some famous like people live here. And there would be like an opera singer who would get out and sing to the neighbors.
And a violinist
concert
would be
violinist
on the roof, and they would do performances at 8 p.m. and they would sing back and forth from the windows. And so once we could leave our house, we would go walking at 8 o'clock so that we could hear all of the music. And most of the people stayed in their houses, but it was incredible.
It was kind of magic, actually. Like our streets. I mean, our streets kind of like historically crazy. We live in the old headquarters for the Spanish Inquisition. We live in the raised castle now. Yeah. So we live on Castle Street. There's crazy history here. So yeah. I tell the kids whenever they're scared, a lot of people died here.
There's ghosts here.
I was gonna say, man,
all over.
Dia de los Muertos is coming up. How's that feel around there?
Yeah, we live Dia de los Muertos every day here. We just
okay.
Finally, I just had to say, we just have to accept the ghost. We just have to accept living with them.
That sounds magical. The whole like taking a shitty situation and making it beautiful and having everybody sing and do all the music and all of that. Was there a certain point where you were like, what the fuck did we just do?
Its breaking point was when we had to do their homework with the kids. The kids didn't really know Spanish then.
Yeah.
And here we are doing Spanish homework while trying to keep our jobs because our jobs didn't stop.
Yeah.
They weren't going to school. And I had to go like from one kid to another, and then back to my work, to one kid to another, and back to my work. And I get there and be like, well, I don't fucking understand what they're saying here. How do you want me to help you?
We're trying to Google Translate stuff, and it makes no sense.
Google Translate is
terrible. And also the Spanish here is just different. Mm-hmm. So it's not how you would think to say it. It's not close to Spanish they speak in Mexico. So there are just all of these words that we didn't know. And the crazy thing is people talk in slang so much, and when we write in the parent groups, it was all slang and all abbreviations. So it's not like we could easily just translate it right away. So the learning curve was really hard. And the accent from where we live in Andalusia is, I think, the hardest accent to understand. We joke it's the Kentucky of Spain. But everyone goes really slow, but they speak so fast and they drop the end of the words. So they just don't say them.
They move slow but speak fast. It's a very interesting combination.
And so it's like if we traveled or in Madrid or in Barcelona, we're like, oh my gosh, we can actually understand people.
Yeah.
But here, it really depends on who you speak to.
Yeah.
If you speak to a grandma that's speaking slowly, she'll speak proper Spanish, and we can understand her. But just the average,
but that was close to breaking.
Is like tough.
That was close to a breaking point for us because we left like a 3,500 square foot home in California, and we got to it just mini 2-bedroom. It was really one bath that they split up into 2 bathrooms, and one of them just would leak through the wall. So we had to deal with that. And we're just saying there's still moments like that. We're on year 4.5, and there's still moments like where I'm like, what are we doing? Like everything is harder here, and not just because of the language barrier. Everything is just fucking harder here. Like opening a bank account.
Logistics.
I almost thought it must be impossible. I can't open a bank account. It must be impossible.
Logistics and bureaucracy are no joke. No joke. Getting the kids signed up for school. Like we've kept them in the same school partly because the thought of changing their school is just too difficult.
Yeah.
So to get them in a school,
they're just gonna be in the same.
I had to go to this center building in the center of town, and I line up in one line. I didn't know what I was doing, and then they would go, no, you're in the wrong line, and they'd send me to another one. So I'd wait an hour on the next one, and I get there, and they go, no, you're supposed to be in the other line. I go, will you take me over there with your hand and tell them that they were wrong? And then they went over there to the first people, and they go, no, and then they talked, and then I went back over to the lady that took me over there, and then she was able to solve my problem. That happens constantly where they'll tell you no, and then I don't know enough Spanish to work my way through it, and it turns out that person can help you. So we got them enrolled, and I remember I was called the day before school started, and finally they let me know which school our kids would be in.
Wow.
So our school's a mile away, and there's like 13 closer schools, but whatever. Our kids got in a school.
But it's because we weren't here in March when they enrolled, and we need to go to a school where all 3 of our kids, because they were in preschool and elementary school. So they needed an elementary school that had a preschool and that had space for all 3 of them at all 3 of their grade levels.
Yeah.
So, and then we've just never moved.
So they said, come get this form. So I had to go back, stood in the wrong line again. I fucking shit you not. And then, because I was told which line to go into, and then had to go in the other lines. You spent so much time just waiting in line. I should talk about how the Spanish line up. That's another tangent. But I got this piece of paper that said my kids are enrolled. Yeah, they don't. I went back to the school. I proudly gave it to them. They're like, okay, we'll get you all the materials and, welcome and everything.
And then they
great.
said,
I'll see you tomorrow.
With our paperwork. We said we could bring the paperwork filled out the first day of school.
We go to the first day of school. Everyone knows each other, of course. They're very, tight-knit. It's like a monoculture. Everyone knows each other. Here we are, foreign. Our kids don't speak a lick of Spanish. And our daughter had some fear, some trepidation, starts to worry. And then her class goes in line, and then she goes to go, and the principal of the school closes the door on her.
Oh my God.
Because he does not recognize her.
And she's basically you're in the wrong place.
Traumatized. And I'm like, but wait, I have a paper. And that's how we started our first day of school.
Oh my God.
And then we heard our middle child would just cry all day. And so it's it's now they have native Spanish fluency, but it's it's hard.
It's hard. The first year was really
Everything's hard. Everything's hard.
Everything was hard.
There I am with my shitty $150 stroller taking my kids to school.
All 3 of them. pushing all three of them running a mile.
I've got the best videos of them all three asleep. You should see. If you think people their heads turned before, 3 blonde kids asleep. It looks like I just drugged some blonde kids, gypsy style, took them away with me.
But I think it's also because where we are, there's not a lot of blondes. And also no one seems to have 3 kids. It's usually 1 or 2.
No.
So we would, every light we'd go to, people, we would hear them talking, be like, look, there's another kid. There's actually 3 of them. And so we just sort of would turn heads wherever we'd go.
Wow.
So whether it's they're blonde, we had 3 kids, or we were in our
also
gypsy stroller.
I'm dressing in full like neon clothes with short shorts because I'm like, I'm from
You
California.
look like a Californian.
But
And we run our kids to school, so everyone is like dressed nicely.
they dress so well here. They dress
and
so
they're all
amazingly
dressed
well.
like nicely to go to school, and we are in running gear every single morning because we run the kids to school.
Nice shoes,
And the
slacks,
kids-
button-ups. And I'm like, my outfit for taking the kids to school is the same as going to work, gym, and to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Because I'm from California.
Yeah.
I
exactly.
wear kind of like workout clothes always.
Your
So we still like...
Your kids go to a traditional Spanish school, not an international school, because I think a lot of
They go to public school.
yeah,
they go to public school.
and
They learn dances, each one of them, each year. They learn song and dance, like not something that we're used to in like U.S.
Not like
schools.
just like a harmonica. They learn actual dances, and I mean music and dancing is much bigger part of
It's
everyday
lovely,
life.
yeah. Except the reggaeton, but it's lovely. Like,
But they come home and they have to learn choreography, and so they'll be practicing, and they'll have videos of the teacher practicing their traditional dances.
So that is romantic. So it sounds like there's a shitty learning curve, and
Yeah.
you gotta really like stick yourself in there to get things done politically for school systems and bank accounts.
I think if it was really easy, though, everyone would do it.
True.
that's true.
It's hard to move to the other side of the world
Yes.
where you don't know anyone. We didn't have jobs that moved us here. Our jobs were just, okay with it.
So
but
you
we
also
did-
work.
most people-
You work California hours too,
Yes.
Yes.
and that
Yeah,
works out
so
with your schedule.
We're 9 hours ahead.
Yeah.
So
So it's interesting.
the first year or two, we were going to bed sometimes at 2:30 in the morning, and then getting the kids up at 7:45.
For
And
school.
yeah,
So we worked on a lot, very little sleep.
very little sleep.
But the Spanish stay up late, so our whole schedule just changed when we moved here.
Do you take the Spanish siesta? Is that like a real thing that?
I do, yeah. Oh, it is a very, very,
Very
much
real.
a real thing. Whereas, like some shops will close for 4 or 5 hours, and
Because
so then you find yourself going to the dentist at 10 p.m. or the printing shop at 11:20, and you're like, these are crazy hours they keep. It's because they close
they
down.
split their
for-
day so that they can go home and have lunch with their family. And also lunch is from 2 to 4 o'clock here. And so they'll close down at 2 o'clock. They'll go home, have lunch, then have a siesta, and then they open their shop back at 6. A lot of them, it'll sometimes be 1 to 5 or 2 to 6 or a couple hour break. But it's very common, especially it's almost universal in the summer hours, but a lot of them do it throughout the year. So we will constantly get fooled and go out to run an errand and be like, shit! I got we say I got stained. Sorry.
That was
Well, because we'll come back and be like, did you do such and such? Like, no, I got stained. It was closed.
But I mean, this
yeah.
might work for those time change, right? Like, I mean, you feel like you get like a little cushion in there because of the time change, that siesta hour. Does it reset you, or does it like set you guys back?
I don't know.
She doesn't nap. I mean,
Caitlin's kind of a robot. She's one of those low.
it's a robot. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird.
Okay, so we
I
talked.
married a really weird.
We're talking a lot
robot.
about the hard. At what point
Yeah.
do you feel like, okay, I think we got it? At like how many months did that take, or years? I don't know. Like,
I mean, constantly throughout, I feel like we would have glimpses where, we used to walk out our front door every day, and I would just say to myself, and sometimes out loud, I feel like I live in the movies.
Yeah.
it's cobblestone streets, tiled buildings, horse carriages going down,
People singing
constantly. So every day I look around and go, I live in the movies. Like, it doesn't seem real.
How long
Yeah.
did it take?
So that is interspersed between the hard.
Yeah. And how long did it take for your kids to learn Spanish fluently?
That's a tough question, because we got a nanny right away, because we worked California hours, so we needed someone to help us in the afternoons and evenings when we were working, to pick the kids up from school and help with homework. Thankfully, we got help with homework, and also taught us a lot about the culture and the language and the holidays. We learned so much from her. But so I think they learned the most because she only spoke Spanish to them, or primarily. She spoke some English, so she could help translate some things, but we really went full immersion. They went to school in Spanish. All of their extracurriculars that we signed them up for were in Spanish. She spoke Spanish to them. So they picked it up quickly for the basics, but to be fully fluent, that still takes time. So it's hard to gauge when. I mean, I know.
Well, I feel like at the end of year 1, you could say they were fluent. And
Sure.
I talked to some people who were like, yeah, my kids are fluent. I'm like, yeah, there's different levels of fluency, because by the end of year 2, they were just so much further along.
Yeah.
And now what's unusual is that some people comment on, say, our daughter has really picked it up, which is, she was right on the cusp of native fluency when we moved here. And she's actually has like the regional accent as well. And so people are pretty impressed by that. But that takes time, a lot of time. I just don't think you could like come here for 6 months a year and really like get it to take hold if you're bringing your kids. I mean, really, like, it's really solidified in years 3 and 4, I'd say. So, and for us, we're just going backwards. My Spanish is horrible, as they say.
Well, now that we've got a
See that? I just busted out Spanish.
Now that
Boom.
now that we have our 11-year-old who is amazing in Spanish, it's easy to go. Can you talk to this person on the phone?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what they're asking.
Hey, it's UPS here. It's just, I don't know what they're saying.
But I mean, but also we've learned, we get treated like gringos because we look like gringos. We speak like gringos. We're always going to be viewed as an outsider. But when our daughter opens her mouth, she is treated like a local because she speaks like a local. And not only does she have like the Southern Spanish, she has what they say a Triana accent. And even people in our neighborhood say that she has a Triana accent. And so,
which is a barrio in Sevilla. So it's even more local. Yeah.
And a neighborhood in Sevilla. So they treat her even so much differently. So we often will cheat. And if we go to a new place where people don't recognize us and they are being brisk, we'll say, hey, go ask for some napkins, or, go do something. And if she walks up and she starts speaking to them, they're like, oh, and it's shocking because she's blonde and blue-eyed and they don't expect it from her. And so we get treated very differently because then we will get treated like local.
Well, this is probably a good time to say, no country have I been in where they treat kids better than in Spain.
Yeah.
They are king and queen. They're, Cardinia. They all the terms of endearment, and they have not once in all the years we've been here reprimanded my kids for anything my kids have done.
Which
at like a restaurant or something like that, where they deservingly, where I'm like, stop like dancing on the bar.
You don't throw paper like at the table next to us, and they're like, no, they're kids.
No, seriously, my kid has been on the bar. Yeah. And they were like, that's great, and they'll take him back to the fucking kitchen or something, or like they're like, hey, not a problem. My youngest, if you follow our social media, is splayed out, always on the ground. They'll walk right over him and be like, it's not a big deal. I'm like, no, it is a big deal. He's on the ground. You're going to trip over. And they're like, not a big deal. Like, stop. We love kids here.
He's a kid. Let him be a kid. We're like, what?
It's crazy. And then we go to France and they're like, shh, 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 like nonstop to our kids. What is this? And What is this? And then they extinguish their long cigarette on my daughter's cheek, and I'm like, we're out of here. This is fucking terrible.
Yeah, we'll go traveling through Europe, and once we cross the border back into Spain, we're always like the first place we stop, whether it's a gas station, a grocery store, wherever. Again, the first person who speaks to our kids will be like, "King, Queen, how are?" And we're like, "Oh,"
and hand them fucking candy.
And hand them lollipops.
Oh
always,
my god!
always.
We'll go to a restaurant and they'll hand them a bag of fucking candy, like a bag you get at a fucking birthday party. Here you are. I'm like, what the? What? Why?
No, they give kids.
They
so
give
much
candy. They love to give kids candy.
And coming from California, it was so odd because you would never, I feel like, never hand someone's kid candy that you don't know.
No.
And here, our daughter will go in for napkins and come out with a huge bag of candy. We'll be like, oh my God. She'll be like, don't worry. I got one for each of my brothers, too, because I told them I had 2 brothers.
They eat, and it's sad to say, they eat triple the amount of sugar here. It's just, I don't know. People live longer here, though. So Spain is said to be the longest lived country in the world.
They smoke a lot. They drink a lot. They eat a lot of sugar and
meat constantly.
Oh yeah, you can't get a salad.
Salad.
You can get a Russian salad. I've made that mistake.
Russian salad drenched in mayo.
Drenched in mayo. You're like, what? There's no.
It's eating out. I make a lot of salads at home, but the food.
Okay, so what do you miss from California, and what do you not miss?
Mexican
burritos.
Food.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to continue? Guacamole, tacos,
burritos,
chimichangas.
Everything.
I could go all day.
Mexicano, yes. But that's the one thing that when people have gone there, or even like my family, they're like, man, the food there is just not right for us. Like they were just like, surprised at some of the dishes or whatever. And also the way they were treated, like they were always treated like they were bothering people when they visited there. That sounds,
yeah. And I think you gotta kind of, especially like a restaurant, you almost gotta get past that being like, the waiters and waitresses make a decent wage, so there's like no tipping, which is amazing. I'll never go back to tipping culture. That's insane. When you go to someplace that doesn't have tipping culture, you're like, why? You go to a bakery in Sacramento, which we did, and someone like turned around and got a loaf of bread off the shelf, and it's like, can you tip me 20% for that? And I'm like, no, you just like, I could have gotten it myself. Like, we can't go back to tipping culture. Like, they don't have it here, but people are also like, they're not in a hurry to turn over the table because it just kind of means more work for them. Whereas like the US, you turn over the table. So like, no, you're not going to get quick service.
And people aren't they're not overly nice at restaurants because they're just doing their job. Their job is to get your food.
Yeah, they're not trying to get tips.
It's not to become your best friend.
Right.
So they're just, sometimes they're having a shitty day and they're going to kind of yell at people, but they're just doing their job and going about their day. But as Brandon said, there's no tipping culture. They all get paid a living wage. I mean, especially where we live, everyone gets paid almost the same amount. If you work at a restaurant, if you work at a grocery store, if you drive a bus, if you're a teacher, if you're an administrator, you get paid the same amount.
And they all tell you what they get paid here.
Yes.
Which is so, in the US, you never say that. And here, they don't ask you what you do for a living, but for some reason, they tell you what they get paid.
They will always bring up how much money they make, which is awkward as an American,
right.
And which is funny because Europeans will be like, why do you guys have such an issue with it? It's not a big deal. It's everyone gets paid almost the same, so there's just probably more respect for you do what you want to do and you get a job, but you're gonna get the same amount of money regardless of sort of what you do, unless you own your own business. There's a few ways that you can make more money,
but you actually kind of have to be a bit more like forceful in getting, like, even now, like sometimes we'll stand in line. Again, I should maybe talk about how the Spaniards stand in line or don't stand in line. It's crazy. But like people walk right in front, like you've got to be very aggressive and assertive kind of. And I think
in certain situations. So as a tourist, it can be tricky.
A little daunting.
Yeah.
So I can see how you'd be a bit overwhelmed with like the Spanish like restaurant experience. And I've seen people come here and be like, oh my God, that waiter was terrible. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of part of the course.
That's typical. Yeah, that's what it is. That's interesting. No, you guys are amazing. I mean, that's a big feat. And
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said,
What was that last line? I got a compliment. I got a fucking
you
compliment.
badass. No, that's and what,
I'm a 46-year-old man. This is like the 10th compliment I've gotten in my life.
no,
Go
I
on.
mean, you're still like, you didn't, there was all these big old obstacles and you guys just kept going. I mean, that says a lot about you.
We're
We're masochistic. We are incredibly masochistic.
No, a lot of people, even at the baggage claim, someone would have, when you guys had all that obstacle, someone would have been like, this is a fucking sign. We're not doing this. Even, you not being able to open a bank account. There's so many stops where people would have been like, this isn't worth it. It's too much. But you stuck it out. And I think that's a great example for your children. And I love hearing what they've learned already. And you opened a whole new world for them to accept and love a different culture that's become their own now, which is such a cool gift. I think you've given your children such a beautiful gift to do this.
I want to add something to that. So we went to Italy, was it last year? Last summer.
Summer before.
I don't know, one of the summers. And it was really cool to see your kids so comfortable going up to people they didn't know in Italian and like be just open to be like, okay, what's the word for this? Okay. And then like go over in full confidence and just try to speak their language, not really knowing it like fully, but just being willing to just try it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think with my kids who aren't well traveled, they would like close up and not even try. But your kids were just like, okay, I'm gonna wing it. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really cool to watch.
That's awesome. It's like the beauty of Europe too. A lot of different languages, cultures, and it's just you gotta find a way to communicate. And with our kids, I'm like, you're not gonna eat unless you go order.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've pushed a lot of, like, there's a saying in Spain that you can't be an introvert in Spain. Like, you have to be outgoing to get what you want. When we moved over here, our daughter was pretty shy, and she is such an extrovert.
She's the opposite.
She is so loud and in charge, and gets what she wants and demands it because that's just required here. But each of our kids are different. Our middle is definitely more timid.
He'll get there though.
But we're now realizing that we need to push him the way we pushed our daughter.
Dude, the example that I'm thinking when I told you, like I was thinking about your kids being forward and going out there, it was your middle who was doing that. Think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things we do when we travel is now it's easier because there's a lot of translate apps on your phone. But what we always do is we talk to our kids about knowing a few basic words in a language to show a minimum respect. So we always, when we're going to a new country, we're about to cross the border, we'll say, okay, we're driving into Croatia. Let's see what we need to know. We need to be able to say, hello or good morning. We need to be able to say please. We need to be able to say thank you. We need to know some just, even if it's just 5 words. If you show up and you're, in a bakery and you want to order, it opens the door if you can say hello, good morning. And especially if you get the kids to do it, because kids open, a lot of doors because people are welcoming. So when we go and we'll all say, good morning, how are you? And then it opens the door and just, there's a lot more back and forth that can happen if you show just initial respect. And then you'll say, can I have that? Or something, or point, or, however much English someone might know. Our kids go to Spanish really quickly if someone doesn't know English. So we'll be in Namibia and there was someone speaking and our kids just immediately start speaking Spanish to them. I'm like, they're not speaking Spanish.
It's really weird that Namibians don't speak more Spanish.
Weird. So they hear a foreign language and they think, oh, I can do this. I can speak a foreign language. But I think that has gotten our kids a little bit more used to trying more languages because we're like, you have to say hello, please, and thank you. Just a couple basic things and practice it. It's hard when we're traveling, we're moving from country to country after like a week, but they try and it helps because people appreciate it. It makes them more welcoming.
But yeah, but also, can I just say that our kids usually don't know where we are at any given point?
It's usually a joke.
We just
like, what country are we in?
We just went to Denmark. I'm like, what country are we in? And my youngest is like, Amsterdam. And I'm like, not a country, and not where we're at.
Not a country.
But it's not they just don't. They have no clue.
But I mean,
it's just like they just think everyone around them speaks Spanish, and they're free flowing.
I mean, honestly,
they don't care in the world.
Our youngest, we moved here when he was 2.5, and we travel so much, and we're always getting on planes, and I just remember him constantly saying, like, we'd go into an Airbnb, is this our new home? Do we live here now? They've slept in so many beds throughout their life.
A lot.
And then we'll sometimes come back to, an apartment we've lived in, and they'll be like, is this where we are now? I'm like, this is, we're back. Like, do you recognize your stuff? This is your place.
The Tooth Fairy has had to sneak into so many Airbnbs.
Yes.
The one
where such different amounts of money back. I don't know what this is. Just give a bunch of change. The Tooth fell
through the beds in Italy, and I'm fucking crawling there at 2 a.m. with my phone flash. It's fun. It's an adventure. That's what we always wanted. We wanted an adventure.
Good.
We're on an adventure.
So now that your 80-year-old question is being fulfilled, that's pretty amazing. Do you guys feel like you'll stay in Spain, or how are you feeling about your situation?
Now we're getting to the tough questions.
Yeah.
We don't have plans to move back to the U.S.
I think Kate's living her best life, and I would like to live in a van in the middle of nowhere.
Oh shit! New idea for you. I haven't heard this one yet.
Yeah.
You're watching too many little YouTube videos.
The wheels are turning. I miss Asia so much. I miss Asia.
Ah,
I go to Asia. I love it.
Okay.
Harder hours, but
yeah, the 12-hour time difference is a challenge to those dreams. So
yeah. Wow. I don't know. I want more.
I love that we're real time processing this right now because you don't have an answer for it.
We need to solve this. If we could solve this during the call and then move on to easier things like the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, we could this would be a breakthrough.
Oh my gosh. I can feel the tension in the room right now.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Between the 5,000 miles between us.
No, I mean, Brandon is very open about, always wanting to move into a van and live a vagabond lifestyle.
With 3 kids, 5 of you in total wanting to live in a van. I'm assuming you want like a really tiny van to make it extra hard, right? To thematic.
Yeah, well, I like the challenge. I'm masochistic in that way. I want to wake up somewhere new every day. I want a different. I think what spoiled us is not only like how much traveling we did in the past, and we're never going to stop traveling unless we had kids. But when we did our around the world trip, everything was new and exciting. And even though it was some place you're like, oh, I don't want to leave here because it's safe, it's amazing. And then you go to the other place and you're like, this is terrible. But it was all part of the experience, and I loved every bit of it. I get a little bored just doing the same routine. I think time flies by really fast when you're just doing the same thing day in and day out. And when we stop, and I think that's the reason why we travel so much, it really slows down time. I can remember full days of some of our trips, whereas if we're just doing the day-to-day routine, it all blends together, and I'm like the kids, I don't even know what country I'm in if we're just doing the day-to-day.
Your idea of consistency is, I think, different than a lot of other people. How do you build some sort of consistent framework or a sense of stability in home for you and your family?
Home is where the heart is.
Oh, don't even with that.
Home is inside.
I think we don't talk about home is where we're all together.
Yeah, as long as all 5 of us are together, we'll make do. I mean,
that is the consistent thread. That has been the one thing that's been consistent through this entire thing is all 5 of you all together all the time.
Yeah, and I love it. And I never want to end.
We rarely separate.
Living in Europe, I'll keep the kids in the house to a respectable age, 45 years old, until they're ready to move out and get married on their own. So we're going to be empty nesters in 30 years. It's crazy. I am terrified.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said that time does stand still when you are somewhere new because you have so much to take in, and it's all new, so it's like an adrenaline high. There's something to be said about it. I mean,
That's it. She's basically saying you're wrong.
I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying.
If I didn't have to work, I would be all in.
No, it's true. There's you gotta have
working
money.
remotely while in a van with 3 kids and a husband.
I'm just so happy you both are taking
Do I get
side.
my own van? If I got my own van, maybe.
And since this is a democracy, it's 3-1. Like the votes have been cast.
God.
We're doing this now. This is great news.
Oh my gosh. No, the van life, I mean, that's some adjusting to be done.
Do you guys mind if I open up a new window on this computer to search for vans for sale?
Oh my god.
Van life 1 word or 2 when I Googled it.
Oh my god. Okay.
We're gonna do it quick. Good.
Dang. We've been talking for almost an hour.
Yeah. This is so amazing.
Yeah.
I
didn't even get to our fun stories.
No, I love
know.
this. Do you miss I mean, how often do you, I know that they come, when they can, and I mean, how often do you see your other family members?
Well, yeah, I mean, you asked what we miss about California. We miss being close to friends.
Yeah.
That's what's missing in Spain. Life is great here, but we are certainly lonely. I think one of the things about the first year is I was super lonely, but I didn't feel like I could say that because I was like, well, I chose this. So like I don't get to be lonely. So I think that was like hard because I was like, I didn't want to ever complain about how hard it was because I was like, but I chose this. So like I didn't feel like I had the right to complain about anything because I'm like, of course it's hard. Of course I'm lonely because we moved across the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have any friends in California either, so nothing really changed for me.
Stop.
Just
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, I love how real and raw you guys were about this. I mean, nothing's ever easy when it's worth it, So I think
again, that goes back to the masochist, like climbing mountain type thing. Is like I like the challenge. The challenge was before we moved. I redid our bathrooms every night after working all day into the wee hours of the morning because we were like renovating our home so we could sell it and move and everything. I think I've appreciated just the small things in life about you successfully getting like a photocopy at a store. And I'm like, yes, I did. Like, it takes me back to like, wow, I took this for granted. Just having things be easy and doable. So I don't know. I like that. I think we'll probably always be, and this is probably going to be really exhausting for her. We'll always be searching for the next challenge, and probably will not get very complacent. And yeah, on to the next challenge.
We'll see.
Hashtag van life.
Okay, can we do like one quick story of like, just to let everyone know like the realities of traveling with 3 kids?
Wait, do you want like a Spain story? Do you want to
I
run a
don't
world
care.
story?
I don't care. Just any like world traveling story, traveling with 3 kids. Give us a glimpse of real fucking world traveling with kids.
Okay, traveling with kids. Okay. I mean, I'll be honest, more of our exciting travel was before kids. We go to less, say, difficult places with kids. Not that we wouldn't be open to more difficult places, but I mean, it's kind of easy when you go.
No, I mean, I remember plenty back when we lived in California and we could only take 1 trip a year because we didn't have vacation, but we were always trying to get far away and go to the other side of the world. And piece together, maybe 2 weeks and some weekends of vacation. I mean, traveling with infants, 18 hours to Southeast Asia. And remember when Ro was awake for almost 24 hours and started convulsing,
kind of convulsing
in the airplane because they didn't turn off the lights ever and he couldn't fall asleep. and he had been up 23 hours and he was a baby and he started convulsing because he was so tired. I mean, I can't tell you how many airplanes I've stood at the back rocking a kid,
A
with
crying
them
kid.
crying uncontrollably,
And with her
to
crying.
the point where I'm sobbing because I've let it go, being like, there's nothing more I can do except just cry and rock the baby for another 3 hours until we land.
Those are really.
I mean,
those are really hard. Oh, and some of those airlines that don't shut off the lights, if they're like a cheap. We flew to Iceland, and I was like, "Oh, this is nice for getting on at 11 at night. I'm going to sleep." And they did not turn off the fucking lights once. They did not dim them. They did not do shit, and we all fucking barely slept. And then we went to Iceland, and we were all.
we were in a van.
We were in a van. That was beautiful. I could have lived there. And we were all jet lagged, and it was just wild.
And it was the summer, so it was almost like 24 hours a day. So it was really hard to get back on schedule. But then we realized most of the things we wanted to see were outdoors. They were natural wonders, and there were not entrance times to any of the national parks. So we ended up going at like 3:00 in the morning to see all these amazing waterfalls, and it was like it felt
beautiful.
like daylight outside.
Yeah, we were there alone.
We didn't change our hours very easily there.
No.
We would try to stay awake, and then we'd go back to our van and just full crash.
Yeah, but jet lag is a bitch. I mean, we have photos of when we first took our daughter to Europe. Every photo we have of her, she looks like a dead person in a stroller. She like Weekend at Bernie's. We just carted around a dead child because like she was asleep during all of like the visiting times. Every fucking photo, I kid you not.
Every restaurant we went to, we just pull her up at the table. She would sleep through the whole meal. We would eat. We would go to
and then she'd be wide the fuck awake.
Starting at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
all night.
And so we didn't like sleep. So like that I mean kids.
With infants, it's hard to adjust their schedules. Now they're older, so it's a lot easier.
Now, but now we're not also going on a lot of trips that require
like
adjusting
12 hours
schedules. But
we have been in Europe for a while.
But I mean, yeah, when we get them to try all the street food and stuff like that, like it's easier than I thought, and I think traveling with kids has changed so much because when we first started traveling and said we would be on like a crazy street in Bangkok, I remember like this Swedish couple had like this little 3-year-old kid on Khao San Road, which was like back then like a druggy road that was in Leonardo DiCaprio movie The Beach. It was like crazy, and I was like, I want to be that person. Like I want to take my kid to all these places, and now you go to some wild places and like
and there's kids everywhere.
Kids everywhere. So it like family travel's changed so much that it's not even like, even since we first traveled with kids, it's so much easier and you see so many more families, and I guess it's less challenging than I would have imagined. But in the beginning, it is really, the plane flight is usually one of the harder things, I'd say. Yeah. Other than that, it's don't fall off a cliff kind of thing.
If you want to travel with kids or move with kids, you have to be a masochist.
You have to want it.
You have to want it.
Yeah.
You have to really, really want it, and if you really, really want it, you can make it happen.
Right.
Yeah. I mean that's the thing. It's about figuring out, where you want to go, what visa options will work for you, and doing a lot of research. We have people reach out all the time like, oh, well, how do I do this? And it's like, well, every situation is unique.
But also really people reach out and they'll want me to walk them through it all. I'm like, if you really want it, like you'll seek the answers and you'll make it happen. Like I can almost tell who writes me, who wants it and who doesn't.
You just got to tell them, you know what? There's a line that you can stand in Spain. You wait there and they'll tell you the answer.
Well, fuck it. Okay, now I'm going to have to talk about how the Spanish queue. They do not fucking queue. Okay, so say how we line up in a orderly, like literal line, a fucking line. Yeah. Like they'll go and they'll ask, who's last?
Yes,
what?
They ask.
¿Quién es el último? Who is last? And they'll be all scattered in the fucking store, and I'll be like, I'm last. And so they just watch that person. Hey, that gentleman with the blue blazer, I'm behind him. And they'll go and smoke a cigarette or talk or something. If that gentleman in the blue blazer leaves, you should see like their fucking brains exploding because they don't know where they are now in line. They have no fucking clue.
And it becomes a huge discussion of who is following who, and be like, well, I'm in front of that person. Well, I'm in front of that person. Well, I'm after that person, and people only know who they come after.
And being the American that I am,
and then it's the scatter.
Culturally, I've been, I walk into a building and I scan, and I have to be that person to go, no. That guy with the red hat was next. That guy's next, and I'm the one sorting it out because I'm the only one paying attention. So they cannot, like, I've stood in line for 2 hours at a bank, and I kid you not, people will be 20 yards away, 30 yards away, and I have to be like, hey, you're next, and like they're just, it's the wildest thing, but they're terrible. And I used to hear stuff like, oh, the British, they're so good at queuing. They're so good at standing in line. I was like, what does that mean? Everyone's good at standing in line.
It's just a line.
Oh, no. Spain, they are not good at standing in line.
There is a low baseline.
So they don't teach that at school.
No.
So they don't teach that at school because that's like where you learn it, right? When you're a kid.
No, shockingly, they do line up to walk into school every day. What?
Who would have thought?
Somehow they lose it, though.
But hey,
somehow they lose it.
That's crazy.
As soon as they go out into the wild, it's
so you gotta carve some good time if you know you're gonna be standing in line, and you gotta pay attention. Pretty much what I get now.
Just pay attention to the person in front of you.
Okay. And also, what I got out of this is you gotta have strong partnerships, and you both have to be on par and agree that this is what you both want. Because if someone's lacking a little, like, I don't know, it can cause a lot of conflict. But both of you are on this, you've wanted this, you're doing it together. I could see if one partner was like, that would cause some problems.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta
we're in complete agreement on everything. Like on 3, we're gonna say what we're gonna do next year. 1, 2, 3, live in a van. She was thinking it.
Oh my God.
Can we roll that back? She said it, right? Or at least mouthed it? Because I didn't hear it. I heard myself say it.
Oh my God.
You're going to have to work on that one, Brandon. That's a... Yeah. Well,
yeah. That's a harder sell. Yeah. That is a harder sell. Especially since we have a nice life right now.
I thought we were so in tune with each other. I thought pretty soon we'll be finishing each other's
sandwiches.
Sentences.
Okay,
let's
do the last 3 questions we always ask everybody. Since you're the same person, you can have one answer, or you can have 2 answers. Doesn't matter. What was the first question?
What is one thing in your bag or bags that says something about you? One thing that's in something you carry around. It doesn't have to be a bag, whatever it is.
Oh, I thought she was talking about under my eyes, and I was like, I carry around exhaustion. I carry exhaustion with me wherever I go. And I thought, damn, that was harsh.
I'm trying to think what's in my purse right now.
Is that what you mean, like physically? What?
She's because they're usually talking to moms who have a purse right next to them. So.
Oh yeah, you guys always. I have pockets, so I don't carry around a bag. I have actual pockets that fit things. I buy jeans, and all these places that store things.
Can your whole hand go in your pocket?
A whole hand can go in a pocket.
See if I can.
Yeah.
Oh,
those are some nice pockets.
Whoa, are you wearing guy jeans?
Are those like custom made?
Those are men's jeans.
Crotch shot and all. Hands fit in.
I mean, I would say what's always in my purse is a chapstick, a lotion, and at least a couple random kid toys.
Yep.
Because that's just always needed.
That sounds like a parent.
Brandon's a little stuffed. I don't know if he wants to share.
I carry anything that she doesn't carry. She usually doesn't go out with a purse, so I have to carry it.
Yeah, you're actually the bad guy. Now that I'm
the Merce.
Our travel.
I'm the Merce. Yeah.
Yes, we have the Merce. Yes, Brandon.
Well, it's because I don't let her have money. We have a very strict relationship here.
I
don't let her cut her hair. have money, and
Have a
she's
son,
got to be
have
okay
kids.
with being a sister wife. I have a certain set of normal rules that she has to adhere to.
Yeah.
Oh God, these people don't.
No, I just carry keys and a wallet and a phone.
All right.
So
Cool.
Practical.
What? The next question is, what or who inspires you?
God, there's so many ways that could go.
wow, yeah, I know. God, I'm gonna sound like a dick here.
Yeah, say it.
Uh-oh.
Not many people inspire me, honestly. I see what most people do, and it's not inspirational. I'll be like, that just isn't. I'm like, I don't want that life. I see what you're doing, and I don't want that life.
Well, but for the beginning of the question is what? Maybe just what?
Is there a
Instead of
what
who.
that inspires you? But
I like
I actually like
extreme risk takers.
Uh-huh.
I like people that just kind of go outside of the box. I respect that. But most people I don't see. I'm like, because I don't want what they have, I guess. Like, do they have a nice van? Can
A lot of
can
people
five
have a
people
nice
fit in it and live?
A lot of people have a nice van.
So then I respect them. It's very simple.
Okay, the last question is, when did you fuck up as parents, a mom or a dad? As a mom or a dad, this could be like a personal experience or experience with the both of you. And when did you fuck up as parents, and what did you learn from it?
Oh my gosh, like every day I fuck up.
I've never, but you can take this one.
Yeah, I'll take this one. Every day. I think that some of the recent ones that have been on my mind are the tone of voice, me yelling at the kids because of my own stress levels.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Yeah, my I know that like my carried stress gets transferred to them, and a lot of times I recognize it early that like I'm not actually mad at them. I'm stressed about either my own work commitments or my time in order to get something completed. And so I just try to talk to them about it and say, look, I messed up. I'm sorry that I had that tone of voice with you. Because, and I always say, everyone makes mistakes, and I'm sorry I did that. But I need to work on my stress.
Yeah. And I'm sure I've messed up before, but I would never admit it to the kids because it's a sign of weakness. So I just kind of hold it in.
My God.
Can you imagine being travel for 14 months?
Wait, I can't hear you.
I said,
Yeah, could you imagine being with this for 4? Oh my God. Did I ever tell you how I proposed to her? I'm sure I told you how I proposed.
I don't know if I remember it.
Well, I mean, we were traveling, backpacking for, again, 14 months around the world. And we had like H&M, fast fashion, and get holes in it when we change. But we had like one nice outfit. So like I had jeans and a button-up shirt. And we were traveling. And again, this was a make or break trip around the world. Either we were going to go our separate ways, or really like I should be proposing. So the time came, and we were in Paris, France. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's we had a picnic blanket out, and we were by a beautiful lake. And I thought, wow, I put on my best clothes, tattered jeans and a button-up shirt, and we got cheese and wine and bread, and it cost like €4 because it's Europe. And I was like, this is it. This is the moment. And I had my glass of wine, and I was hanging on a tree branch over the lake, drinking my glass of wine, swinging a little bit, and the tree branch broke, and I fell into the lake. And it was a lot deeper than you would imagine, right at the edge, to where I went completely under by a couple feet. And then I came out, finished my wine, of course.
A wine glass full of pond water.
Yeah, and then I was disgusting, and I smelled of pond, and so I did not propose that day. And she was so mad because she knew it was coming too.
No, because we had reservations that night
Oh yeah.
at like this fancy restaurant. It was supposed to be like a blind experience where like, you know, it's pitch black and you get served by blind people and I was like, that was it was his only pair of shoes, his only jeans, his only button up, and they were sopping wet with disgusting pond water. And so we had to cancel that one experience.
So you were disappointed over the dinner, not because all your dreams were about to come true? Okay, we'll talk about this later. So like it just blew up, and then we moved on from Paris, and I was like, well, now what? So I think we went to like Egypt or something, and yeah, it was. I thought, okay, I again, I don't admit much when I messed up, but yeah, I kind of messed up that kind of perfect proposal. But then I did propose to her, and this sounds less romantic than it really was, but I locked her in the hotel room in Zanzibar in Tanzania, and then I spelled it out poorly in shells. And then as she pounding on the door, I made her wait, but then I eventually let her out of her small prison and into my heart.
Oh,
A larger prison.
That's sweet. That is cool. Well,
It was not intended to be sweet. I did not.
No, I was just really
I
confused
did not like
why
that.
he locked me in the hotel
I did not
room.
like that response. That made me feel weird.
We were like, oh.
That's better. I like that one. I like that one more. The disappoint. I'm used to the disappointing. Oh,
no,
rather than that was
your heart tried to make it up. I mean, you were trying to dig deep for that one. I mean, you even kept someone you love.
Yeah. But now it's actually a more interesting story
than proposing in
right.
Paris. Yeah.
And I will not tell our wedding one because that's crazier and probably a worse story on how it would look on me.
It's okay. You don't remember anything.
I don't remember it. Anyways, that's it. That's for the next
one. The next one.
Wow, what a pleasure it's been to get to know you guys. I have heard so many cool stories about you and have admired you from afar just from hearing what Steph said about you guys. And I appreciate you giving a glimpse of your life and great advice. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. This was amazing.
Fun. Thank you.
If you'd like to keep up with the latest, see more shenanigans, or just connect with us, go to Instagram where you'll find us at Real Motherfuckers Podcast.
And also, if you'd like to see some real juicy mama boobs, you can see it in action on YouTube, also at Real Motherfuckers Podcast.
And enough with the free Costco samples.
You can start paying up. Actually, you can also just support us monetarily on Patreon, where you'll get some more cool exclusive content. And you can find us there at
Real Motherfuckers Podcast.
We fuck up on this show.
Yeah.
Nothing's perfect.
Hence the name.